Brilliant. We'll start with team news then. And Tom Davies, how's he doing with his shoulder?
Yeah, so he's got to get the scan today. Has settled a lot better, so he definitely won't be playing this week. We're just hoping it's nothing major.
And Tom, Joe Burgess failed his HIA. How's he doing?
He's good. He's in great spirits, and you'll just go through the protocols now, and the aim will be back to get him back for Salford next week.
Is Bill Leyland passed his protocols as well?
Yep, Bill's trained and he's ready to go if he's called upon.
So Jack Broadbent, one of your obvious options coming on the wing. Lee Kershaw, another one, because he's come back from his second loan spell at Cass. How do you think he's gone with those 2 loan spells over there?
Yeah, not too bad. Obviously, it's difficult going into a different system and different sort of team environment. You know, he's been with us for a whole pre-season, and it was good for him to get some game time. And obviously, Cass called him on a couple of times there. So, we know Kirsch can do a job.
Any other concerns going into the Leeds game?
Little niggles. Like had something to train today, but we just got to wait and see how that goes. And that's about it.
Given that you've had the weekend to reflect, how do you sit with that Good Friday performance now?
Yeah, look, I think it's still the same as what we sort of said after the game, and this is mainly from a result point of view. Like to be able to go there and win a Challenge Cup, and then 2 weeks later get 2 points. If someone said, would you take that beforehand? We certainly would. So from an outcome perspective, happy with what we did. Now look, the actual game itself, there's a lot. We looked at it today, and the players had 3 days away from the club, and we just looked at it, and there's certainly areas that we need to improve, but we certainly looked at the areas that we want to maintain, because there was still a lot to like. But we played against a very committed team who played well, and as I said, to get a win against they're a good team. 2 out of 3 weeks, whatever it was, it was a good result.
I think it's fair to say that in that Good Friday performance, we saw your side learning the lessons from the Wigan defeat the week before.
Say again, sorry?
Do you think it's fair to say that in that Good Friday performance, we saw your side taking lessons from the Wigan defeat the week before?
What sort of examples would you say?
As in terms of how the game was structured, because it was a first half where you were in control, then start of the second half, the opposition gained the upper hand. But whereas in the Wigan game, where Wigan kept the upper hand, in that derby, you were able to take back control and put it to bed in the final 20 minutes. Yeah.
So that's an area that we wanted to improve, was definitely that last 20 minutes. I thought we were in control, like you said, for long periods of game against Wigan, 63 minutes I think it was, and then that last sort of might have been less than that, where they dominated us. But I thought, there's a few games this year that the last 20 we've sort of tapered off, where we want to put the foot on the gas in that last 20, which we did. That period with 18, 19 minutes to go, they had all the momentum, and they were coming home strong. The crowd started getting behind them, so that was the pleasing part, that we found something in that last 20 minutes. So I'd agree with the learnings from the week before.
One of the stars of the day was Arthur Moore, because one of those players that you just want to see have the ball in their hands, because you never quite know what they're going to do with it. How pleased are you with how quickly he's integrated himself into this side?
Yeah, really pleased. I said it after the game. It seems like that he's been here longer than what he has. He invests a lot into his game. He certainly cares about his performance, in regards to his prep and then what his review looks like. He's settled in really well. He's confident lad, mid-20s now, and it's a big, step to come over to another country and settle in as quickly as what he has. It's a credit to him, and his partner's on her way over as well, so she should have been over for a little bit, gone home, and then come back again. So, once she settles, I'm sure he'll settle even more. That's the most important part now, is just making sure his partner settles.
Because I guess that's the factor that you can't prepare for. You know that he's going to fit in playing-wise, but moving to a completely new country, the off-the-field aspect and fitting into the playing group personality-wise, that was pleased you just as much.
Yeah, he had there's a few players that he played with over in Catalans, which helped. But look, I think most rugby league environments, they're good people involved. There's not a lot of well, I can't use the word here, but there's a lot of good people in rugby league. So
we know what you mean. We know what you mean.
So we like to think we've got a good environment. That's welcoming, and there's a lot of care involved. And we certainly have shown that towards Arthur, but he's the one that's been really proactive in wanting to meet people, understand more about our culture and what the club's about. He's, as I say, he's settled in extremely well.
Someone else I wanted to talk about was Elliot Minchella, because he was your top tackle maker in the derby, as he is quite a few weeks. But watching the highlights back from the other games this season, the amount of attacking phases and tries that he's involved with was massive in terms of the ball going through his hands. How important is he to your side going forward as well as defensively?
Yeah, he's huge part for us. I've seen some different things in and around that he's probably not where he was and not as influential. But yeah, I disagree with that. I think he's what he brings us, off the field and in the dressing room alone. He's our captain, he's our leader, and he had so much there. But yeah, certainly on the field, in terms of our link, being that link man and helping organising our attack with Tyrone May plays a big part. And he's playing long minutes, he's playing 80 minutes, most weeks now, and certainly gets through a lot in defence as well. So, he's extremely valuable to us. He's our captain, he's our leader, and he's always looking to get better. He's always looking to be challenged. Is he at the top of his game at the moment? Or in terms of is he at peak performance? I'd probably say no, but like everyone else, it's about building towards for the rest of the year. And he's certainly a very, very key member of our team.
And I guess when you've had quite a lot of disruption across your spine so far this season, having him as that maintaining figure in that spine as a ball player, that must have been a big help as well. Yeah,
it always is when you got your main 13. Look, you want to have your spine in every week. That's they're so important to your attack. I mean, you look at Parramatta over in the NRL. Mitchell Moses comes in yesterday, and what he did, in one game, he's so influential to that team. And the majority of players. I mean, George Williams is out for Warrington at the moment, and I'm sure they'll handle it. But he's influential to what they do. We've got our players, Mikey, Tyrone. They're influential to what we do. As is Elliot. So it's about keeping those guys on the field, and can be a key difference, I suppose, between your attack flowing and asking a lot of questions and being on top, in terms of scoring points and things like that, or just going through the motions. So sometimes you've got to change your approach and how you want to attack depending on who's playing. But when we've got many in the team, we can certainly open up.
Something away from the pitch in the last week, the club unveiling their Elite Performance Centre for 16 to 18-year-olds. Given how much emphasis you put on developing players away from the pitch, you must be pretty pleased to see the club putting so much importance on that for 16 to 18-year-olds.
Yeah, it's an area that we want to keep developing and growing. We want to, our goal is to bring as many players through as possible. That's what we want to achieve. Now, we know where we're at with that. We know where we want to get to. And we're certainly not there, but there's a lot going into, developing and growing that area. You'll see the best of it in 2 or 3 years' time. But there's certainly a lot going on in the background at the moment to grow our academy and our scholars and help develop those younger kids.
And I know you're a rugby league man, so seeing an attendance record for a 6-round fixture over Easter must have been pretty pleasing as well.
Yeah, it's great for the game over here. We all say it. And we've certainly got a great product here. It's just about getting it out to a wider audience and getting it to as many people as possible. I watch all games or every game that I can, and the players are entertaining, and there's a bit going on obviously behind the scenes to get the game and grow the game and get it to another level. So we'll leave that to the people in those positions, but the players are certainly doing their part.
Let's look towards your opponents then. What have you made of Leeds so far this season?
Yeah, they're a good team, a really good team. If you ever look at their stats, mainly around defence, they're up there in a lot of those stats. So I've seen a bit of them play this year. I saw them in some friendlies, and they're certainly a very good team. I know Brad how he likes to players to play. That's aggressive. That's going after teams. So we know what to expect, but we'll certainly be looking to to match that.
Callum Watkins scoring on his second debut for the Rhinos last weekend. What will his addition do to the side?
Just give him experience. Obviously, the more experienced players you have, it certainly helps those younger guys, and certainly helps the team dynamics. A bit more direction. But he's a dangerous player, no matter who he plays in the middle or plays on the edge. So he's going to be a good addition to their side.
Given that Brad Arthur is clearly going to use him as that versatile utility player, does that make it slightly harder to prepare for him?
Not really, because we've got a system, the way we want to defend. We obviously know, we've watched him play in the middle, watched him play on the edge. So we don't worry too much around sort of personnel. Yeah, of course we look at, different things that they do, and how we'll handle that. But again, we sort of go back to a system. It doesn't matter too much who's playing, it's around what we do.
One of the most talked about transfers over or going into this season as well was Jake Connor. He's second on the try assist. How much of a threat is he proving this season?
Yeah, well, we all know Jake Connor's talent and ability and what he's all about. He's a class player, and Brad's getting the best out of him at the moment. And he's on top of his game. So he's a key member of their team, and especially in their attack. He's their main person in attack that sort of creates a lot of opportunities. So yeah, it'd be one that we need to shut down his time, and because he wants time, he wants space. That's what he likes to play on the front foot. So we just got to make sure that we limit his time.
Well, I think my voice is just about giving out, so I'll pass you over to the rest, Willie. But
Cheers.
Good luck for Friday.
Thank you. Mate.
Cheers, mate.
Hi, Willie. All right, it's Gary. You okay?
Hey, guys. Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Can I just ask you one about Mikey and what he said about the NRL? He's been very vocal about his dream is to play in the NRL. Is that the sort of thing you almost embrace? Because if he's going to make it there, there's only one way he can go about it, isn't there?
Yeah, 100% agree, Gaz. So when I first come over, obviously getting to know the individuals, finding out about their, where they've come from, finding out about their, what they want to achieve in the game, and then where they want to go. And Mikey he always said to me that he wanted to go to the NRL. So, my job and our job as staff is to develop him and grow him and help him achieve those sort of dreams. But, do we want Mikey to leave? Absolutely not. But we'd certainly, if he's something he wants to look at down the track, then that's up to Mikey and his management, and then obviously the club. But look, I'm very close with Mikey, so I know exactly where he's at with it all. There's no, he's very upfront with it. We have good conversations in and around it. So it'll be one of those that we'll look at it if and when the time comes. But, I certainly want to develop Mikey to be the best player he can. And if that means that he wants to go over there and he gets an opportunity, we'll look at it. But I certainly don't want Mikey going anywhere.
How much more do you think he needs to bring out of himself to be an NRL standard halfback? Because it's the most difficult position of the lot to be an NRL standard at, isn't it, I guess?
Yeah, so it'd be consistency. You get so much. There's a lot of everyone's watching every move. Obviously being in a key position like that, you need to be consistent, and you need to come up with big plays when obviously the ones that are getting paid the top dollar. They need to come up with those clutch moments and those big plays. Now, I'm not saying that he needs to go and do that every week over there, but what he does need to do is be consistent. If he did get the opportunity to go over there, for me, he's certainly growing his game, but there's still a lot more in Mikey. So his temperament, and in and around that, he's working on all the time. He's growing a lot off the field. I just think it's working on defensively. Keep working on that and making sure that he's consistent, where his best and worst is not too far away. That's the key, because our game is certainly getting close to the NRL. From a competition point of view, no doubt about that, because anyone can sort of beat anyone on their day now, and that's what the NRL's about. Like, you have a look at the NRL. So the Dolphins, and they had 3 or 4 losses in a row, for example, and then they've won the next 3, whatever it is. It's anyone can beat anyone, and that's where we're getting to over here. So every game over there is a difficult game.
And just lastly on that, he mentioned the off-field lifestyle being totally different. Have you also told Mike about what life's like in Australia, i.e., they don't have Burger King, it's not pints, it's schooners, it's bloody expensive?
Mate, to be honest, we don't go into that too much. I don't want him going anywhere anytime soon, so I'm not going to paint the picture of the sun and the beaches and all that to him too much. I'll tell him that Hull's a lovely place, and I think he's better suited here.
Just showing pictures of huntsman spiders, he won't go anywhere.
Well, that's it. The snakes and the spiders might scare him off. Actually, it will.
Well, cheers, Willie. Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
I'll just jump in for a really quick one. Hi, Will. Hope you're well.
Hey, Josh. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, thank you. Just really quick on Bill Leyland. Obviously, you had high praise for him in pre-season. When the opportunities come, you expect him to grab all of them when they do arrive?
Yeah, look, I'd hope so, mate. The thing about Bill, though, when you look at it, he's obviously had an ACL. He's come back from that. He's only played a handful of games, so we can't expect too much from Bill. And this year was always around developing him and getting him, growing his game and getting him ready for. Obviously, we had Mickey Mack for a year, so him mentoring him a little bit. But the best of Bill Leyland's going to be the next couple of years, no doubt about that, because he's only just come back from from his ACL. But certainly when Bill gets his opportunity, I know what he's capable of. But again, we're not expecting, he's not going to be judged on his next game, or if he's playing Super League, and when he does play Super League, he's not going to get judged on that game. It's going to take a bit of time.
What can you say on the influence that Mickey Mack has had on him already? Yeah,
I think it's probably best that Jez and Bill sort of gives you that feedback on what he's learnt. But there was an example for me, at the university where we trained, in the pre-season. We'd had a session, we'd had a really tough session, and then we'll look over and Mickey Mack was doing some extras. And I remember saying to Jez at the time, because he was next to me, I said, if you get one thing from this guy this year, it's that, so we've just done a tough session. Everyone's, on the sideline and feeling sorry for himself, but then he was out there doing extras. So that's the type of person and player Mickey Mack is. That alone, I think, helped Jez and Bill. But there's certainly a lot. They roomed together when we went to Tenerife. So there's a lot that Bill would have learnt from Mickey. But he's probably best giving you feedback on that.
Brilliant. Thanks for that. Best luck this weekend.
Cheers, mate.
Hi, Willie. Hope you're well.
Hey, Ben. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, thank you. Just a quick one, really, on Rhyse Doro. I mean, I think he impressed, didn't he, in his first game back at Bradford at the weekend. You spoke about him and wanting to give him an opportunity at some point this year. When do you sort of foresee that, and how impressed have you been with him?
Yeah, so I definitely want to give him an opportunity, and we definitely will. He's one for me, like, he stands out because, I was talking to one of the younger fellas today, just around his effort and how hard he competes. Obviously runs the ball with intent. When he tackles, he wants to hit, and that's what the game's about. It's about being physical, and doing it the right way. So we keep working with him on his discipline and getting that right. But he's certainly putting his best foot forward. He's given us a lot to think about, which is what we want. He's gone to Bradford, for a couple of weeks, and then obviously we'll look at it after that. But he'll definitely get his opportunity. He's a player that we see, that we want at the club for. He's here for 2 years, and the way he's going, I can see him, being here longer.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about bringing young players through, is he sort of the prime example of someone that in a couple of years could really be an established Super League player? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, he's that. If Arabi was in our 17, it's a good thing. It's not going to be a negative thing, because I think he's ready. The only reason at the moment it's been difficult is because we've had our front rowers. Obviously, they're established. We've got some established front rowers there that are playing well, and then there's a few guys that you could easily put in that team who are in it at the moment, or who aren't in it. You could put in it and will still look very similar. Arabi's one, he'd add to us. but you can only pick 17 players at the moment. But no doubt in a year or two, Reeby will be an established Super League player. That's what I believe.
Cheers, Willie. Good luck this weekend.
Cheers, mate.
Hi, Willie. It's Martin here.
Hey, Martin. How are you, mate?
I'm fine, mate, and good to see that you are. Just a very quick couple of points from me. First of all, Arthur Morg, how tough is that young man? Because when he got hit by Cade Cuss on Friday, I thought his game was probably over. And yet he came back and showed absolutely no ill effects whatsoever, and scored a try before the end of the first half as well, and then got the Man of the Match award from Sky Sports. He's been a remarkably successful signing for you, it seems to me, and really, for some people, perhaps exceeding expectations.
Yeah, I remember saying I've been a fan of him for a while. Like when I first come over, he causes a fair few problems every time he's played us. Handy goal kicker. There's a lot to like about his game. And then he got chopped and changed a little bit. He was in the halves, but I certainly believe he's more of a fullback. His best attribute is his running game. When he's running the football, he's extremely dangerous. But I agree. We want our players being physical. Rugby league's a physical game, and competing hard, and he's certainly living up to that. Like for him to be able to come back on the field and change the game, and it was a key moment in the game. Just before half time. I admire him because, like you say, he's not a big fella. He's only a small guy, but he's very tough, and that's, you can't really teach that. It's either in you or it's not. And Wigan, I thought, put a little bit on him the week before. Thought he handled that, and then obviously FC did a similar job on the weekend. But the way he responded from that head knock or that collision. There's some players that probably would have gone the other way. Some players might not have wanted to come back on the field, but some players would have sort of just taken a backward seat where he wanted to front up. He wanted to get the ball in his hands, and he wanted to be involved, which is a really good sign.
Absolutely. The other interesting thing about your team last week was that apart from Arthur playing at full back, the rest of your starting 13 were squad numbers 2 to 13. You don't seem to suffer unduly from injuries at your club, Willie, and that was true for much of last year as well. You must have a really great medical team behind the scenes there, or you're very lucky or is it a mixture of both?
Yeah, no, definitely both. I mean, I don't like talking about injuries, but we do have a few at the moment. I mean, Rhyse Martin's obviously gone for a long period of time.
Then 17.
Then you got Mickey Mack. Yeah, I know what you're saying in terms of the numbers, but they're key players for our team. He was obviously starting. Mickey Mack was our starting hooker, but Jez is obviously, doesn't matter who starts out of those two. Tom Davies goes down on the weekend, so Joe Burge is not playing this week. So things can change really quickly, but I certainly want to give my staff a rap. We've got a great medical team who definitely, we put a lot into prep and we put a lot into recovery. But then I want to give the players a rap as well because they've got to take responsibility and, the staff's educated them on the importance of getting or what it takes to be a Super League player, and they're buying into that. So it's a combination, mate. But rugby league can change, and you need some luck go your way as well.
Well, hopefully you'll keep on having it, mate. And thanks very much indeed. Good to speak to you.
Thanks, Martin. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Hi, Willie. All right.
Hey, Sam. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I just wanted to quickly mention Rhyse Martin, actually, because I think it's coming up towards 8 weeks after the Salford game, which I think is when he got injured. Just how's his recovery been going so far, and do you have a sort of expected timeline when you can start to bed him into the squad again?
Yeah, so we're aiming, I think it's for the Wakefield game, so I just try and find out the end result from the team. So we're playing Wakefield at some stage. I can't give you the exact date. So look, I'm looking at that, but he's good, mate. He's in good spirits. He's obviously he hasn't suffered a long-term injury like this, for at least a long time. So he's handling it well. But yeah, we'll start integrating when he's ready to go. But yeah, there's the Wakefield game, which I can't give you the exact date. So that's what I've been told. And at the moment, it's more around just Of course, we need to treat the injury, but it's more around just him as a person, just making sure that he's okay and he's engaged and getting some purpose in and around what he's doing every day. So that's the key, mate. He's just making sure he's got purpose to what he's doing, and he seems in a good space.
Yeah, I mean, I know during the Wigan game, him and Mikey were on the sideline. I think they were definitely engaged in that one. So it looks like he's been blooding in well anyway. Just on Mickey Matt, did he have to go through any surgery after his injury or not?
Yeah, he had surgery last. He's had surgery last Friday, so it's just a matter now of his recovery and see how that goes, mate. It's a decent one.
Yeah, no worries. I saw from anyway. I just wanted to check on them too. So best of luck this on Friday.
Thanks, Sam. Cheers, mate.